Yes, we are live.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Pat, meeting notice verification.
November 19th.
Okay, Mr. Reber, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You bet. This is going to be weird. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Max, would you like to read our mission statement? I'll take that silence as no. I'll move on. Jane, can you do our mission statement, please?
Serve with passion to ignite creativity, innovation, and excellence.
Perfect. And roll call, we've got everyone on the school board and all of the admin team accounted for virtually, as well as our student reps. I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second by Ken.
Okay, I have a motion by Sean and a second by Ken. I'll do a roll call vote. Robin? Robin?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We have an agenda. Next, move on to connection with the community. Item A is board reports by high school student reps. Maddie, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so this last week, our band decided to do virtual auditions, which I think actually went pretty well. They also had us record ourselves in case the audio cut out at any point. And then the senior finance class, it's a class that all seniors have to take, recently finished their family budget project where they learned how to create a budget for themselves and their assigned family. In this, they learned how to buy cars, houses, they made a grocery list, they had to buy clothes and household items, and they also had to budget for an unexpected expense that one of the high school staff members had experienced.
Sorry, Catherine. The earbuds I was using, they wouldn't unmute, so it was a little bit weird. Sorry about that.
That's fine, Max. We'll get you next time.
Yeah. But one thing that I think is really unique that's happening with our sports teams and our clubs is they're starting to meet on Zoom, which is really cool. Some of the clubs that I'm in, DECA and Youth Frontiers, they're beginning to, adapt really well, I think. And it's amazing what we're able to do with DECA with the new members who are coming in. I think Mr. Holter and Ms. Hodgson are doing a very good job at that. And, when I was coming into the high school, I obviously wasn't online, but I think for these freshmen and who are coming in, I think it's really cool. And I think we're welcoming them in a very good way. So I think it's really cool that we're able to, clubs and sports, to include everybody in these Zoom calls. And then seniors are also beginning to select their class motto, song, flower, and the speaker for graduation as we kind of get ready for graduation.
Okay, thank you, Max and Maddie. Does any of the board members have questions for our student representatives? Okay, I actually had one, and I'm just kind of wondering from, Max and Maddie's perspective, along with, talking with other members of the senior class. Have you guys experienced any additional challenges with the senior exit project due to, not being able to gather and meet with COVID? And how are you handling that?
So I can speak first, Maddie. So my project, I'm doing it alone. I'm remodeling my cabin over in Tremblow. So I haven't had any direct impact from COVID as like doing my project. However, one thing that is definitely, you know, that hasn't been great is I haven't been able to meet with my I haven't had the time, the required time to meet with my teachers. I've had the opportunity to, but I think it's something that I need to take more initiative of, and that's what I'm not doing. You know, I liked in school where we had the certain times where we'd go to school and we'd be able to meet with our teachers. You know, now it's more on me. And, you know, sometimes I just don't want to do it because, you know, whether that be stress with something else or whatever it is, it's definitely harder. But I think Mr. Nelson especially has stepped up and he's been there for me quite a few times. So it's COVID hasn't helped me at all, but we're able to get through it. The teachers have done a wonderful job.
Okay, thanks for those comments. Maddie, do you want to add anything else?
I agree. I don't think it's been impacted too much. They did change our SEP paper page requirement. They put it down by 2 pages. And then I know it hasn't impacted me also that much, but I know some people's projects had to do with events in the community. And so they have to really accommodate for those changes because our teachers did make it clear that we're not allowed to do anything with many people. So they have to change that, which is unfortunate.
Okay. Thank you. Mike, did you want to add anything else on the SCP topic with that question?
I guess I would just add that Kim Volden, Kathy Hilby, and Ryan Nelson meet weekly, and they have taken many of the suggestions and made a few modifications. As Maddie mentioned, they have reduced the max or minimum length of the paper, mainly because of not as much of an opportunity to work with the students and help with the editing because they're not sitting in front of them quite as regularly. And we talked very clearly that this would be a 1-year COVID adjustment. This isn't something that's going to be moving forward in the future. And I would just reiterate what both of the students said, that a number of kids are running into some roadblocks, which is also part of the project, with meeting with mentors because of COVID and doing some of those organizational things where multiple people would be involved. And the ones that seem that are impacted the most are those that would be like community service types of projects where usually large amounts of people get involved.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that we're adapting and figuring our way through this because the SCP is a very valuable tool and, you know, we still need to keep that as a priority for our seniors. Okay, thanks. Next, move on to correspondence. And I don't think I had any, Pat.
Yep, we received 4 of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have any paper correspondence in front of me. We did have a number
Yep.
that were sent in.
And I did share them with the board. So did you still want me to read all 4 of them?
Yes, please.
Okay. Bear with me.
That's fine.
All right, this first one is from Greg Stenberg. Thank you for the opportunity to share a concern I have. My name is Greg Stenberg. I have a 9th grader, 8th grader, and 4th grader. If we remain virtual, I would like our students to be able to participate in extracurricular activities. I am asking that this matter be discussed by our school board and if needed, placed on the agenda for the December 14th meeting. My concern lies in the mental health of our students. Our students are experiencing high levels of stress and anxiety due to the increased screen time our current learning model is requiring. Teachers at area schools are being asked to put students on mental health watches. I implore you to ask your high school staff and parents what is going on with the mental health of our students. At the November 9th meeting, you passed a measure to allow outside agencies to use school district facilities. I recognize the importance of these activities for the health of our students. However, your motion only applied to students in grades 4K8 and is inequitable to our high school students. As a current high school's hockey player stated, I will be officiating 2 youth hockey games this weekend on ice that I am not allowed to play on. Under the current situation, my 4th grade daughter will be able to play basketball, but my 9th grade son will not. Your motion is not serving all the students of this district. I am proud that our school district provided a safe, memorable extracurricular experience for all of our students this past fall. Throughout all these experiences, we did not have one case of COVID-19 spread between members of our organizations. After talking to my friends in Onalaska, they also did not have one case of spread between participants in their fall activities. The difference is that Onalaska High School is allowing their winter extracurricular activities to practice, while Salem High School is not. Many of our neighboring school districts are providing extracurricular opportunities to all ages of students. We should as well. Thank you again for listening to my concerns, and I hope you find this situation as concerning as I do. Sincerely, Greg Stenberg of West Salem. This next one is a little bit longer. Thank you for your time. My name is Bill Haley. I am a parent of a junior and an 8th grader who both attend West Salem. I ask that the school board add this request for a vote to the agenda on Monday, December 14th. I'd like to ask that co-curricular activities be allowed to start in-person winter seasons and be able to remain in person as long as each individual program remains below 20% positivity. This is the standard being utilized by several schools in the area. If a program were to exceed 20%, whether it is due to direct cases, tracing, or quarantine requirements, the activity would pause and would need to meet CDC and/or WIAA guidelines before continuing. This would allow our students to have continuity regardless of what learning model we are in from week to week. The mental well-being of every student has been adversely affected in the last 9 months. Studies and statistics confirm that nearly everyone is struggling with their mental health. We all have jobs, families, and bills to pay, and all of that contributes to our stress. Our student athletes identify themselves as those two things. They are students and athletes. And for many of them, half of their identities have been lost and they are hurting. The physical toll is there as well, as kids who are used to a high amount of activity are reduced to online practice with their team after being online all day already for school. They want to play, but more importantly, they need it. Through Scholastic Sports, we are able to provide a supervised mask environment following West Salem High School CDC and WA guidelines. We have a staff that is professionally trained for all potential situations and have full control over all activities. The students in sports and their families are highly incentivized to follow CDC-related protocols, both at school and elsewhere, as the road to continue playing is dependent on keeping COVID numbers low within their activity bubble. Our fall activities started when West Salem was conducting school in a fully online model, and all of the sports were able to navigate the ever-changing landscape. While delays and cancellations were part of the process, none of those delays were due to teams having mass cases or quarantines. We were able to keep practice and games safe for our students, but were shut down each time school went back to fully online. Other local programs, including Aquinas, Luther, Onalaska, Toma, and Melrose Medora, all completed fall seasons and were allowed to compete throughout changes in learning models using the sport participation model we are proposing. We are allowing youth and club sports to utilize our various school facilities during the winter months. This is great for those kids to get out of their homes, out from behind the computer screens, and to have some physical activity and interaction with friends. If we are already doing that for our groups, comprised of West Salem elementary and middle school students, then surely our sanctioned high school activities conducted safely should have the same opportunities. The reality is, if we deny the students the opportunity to work with their co-curricular groups, they will join outside club and AAU teams. These programs do not follow COVID protocols and will take our students out of the area, sometimes out of the state, and mix groups of people. This will create higher virus risks for our students and their families, and then possibly bring cases back to our community. We as a district can send a positive message to our students by trusting them to be safe and follow protocols within our municipality by allowing them a chance to play and in turn give them the opportunity to set a good example for all Wassalem students and residents by showing that responsible behavior can lead them to success. Thank you, Bill Haley of Wassalem.
Thanks, Pat. We've got 2 more to go, right?
Yep. Better take a break. Dear school board members, thank you for the opportunity to address virtual learning as relates to our high school students and their extracurricular activities. While this new world we find ourselves in is rapidly changing and evolving, I feel like new information is readily becoming available on a daily basis and should be utilized to govern our decisions as it relates to virtual learning and participation in extracurricular activities. A few months ago, there was little information available to guide the decisions as to how to handle virtual learning and athletics. It was interesting to watch the different approaches proposed by the school districts in our area. While some schools, Wassalem included, took a very conservative approach, others were more aggressive and allowed students to both learn virtually and actively participate in athletics on a physical level. Now that there has been time to digest and evaluate the differing approaches, both locally and nationally, it appears that the conservative approach is no less effective in containing COVID-19 and protecting the health of our student athletes. Some of our area schools participated in and succeeded in conducting a full fall schedule while taking a less conservative approach. While I appreciate the conservative approach that was taken by the board to protect our student athletes, with the limited amount of data available to govern the decisions as it relates to the start of the fall athletic schedule, I sincerely hope the board will take the new information gained from schools who conducted successful seasons and allow our athletes the same opportunities. If our athletes are learning at home and the physical practice sizes are kept to small, manageable numbers, there is a reduced risk of exposure and a greater ability to conduct contact tracing. The WIAA found that in Wisconsin, 30,000 student athletes participated in competitive games and practices during the month of September. The case rate of these participants was 901 per 100,000 versus their non-participating peers whose case rate was 1,035 per 100,000. Of the 271 positive cases during the season, not one resulted in hospitalization or death, and only one case was traced back to sports. There is a link provided for more information. With a great emphasis on protecting our students physically, but forget about the mental impact associated with limiting their ability to participate. Anxiety and depression rates are rising in adolescents. Self-esteem and physical activities are decreasing. The data indicates there is no increased risk to the health of our kids from activity participating in athletics, which needs to be weighed against the students that indicate adverse mental impacts. I appreciate being conservative. I appreciate taking advice from attorneys, but I also think those should be pieces of the whole decision and not the main determining factors in the ultimate decision, period. Please take a look at the data available now that was unavailable during the decision process governing fall sports and give our students opportunity to participate and compete. I think the option to participate should be granted and made 100% available, and the ultimate decision regarding the physical and mental health and well-being of the athlete should be left to the athlete and parent. This decision can be acknowledged by executing a document acknowledging the risk and releasing the school district of any liability. Please give our kids the chance to compete and find some normalcy in this crazy world we find ourselves in. If we remain virtual and after the 30-day suspension of activities, I would like our high school students to have the opportunity to participate in their extracurricular activities as many area school districts allow. I understand that this needs to be on the agenda in order for the motion to be discussed and voted upon, and I'm asking that this be placed on the agenda for December 14th school board meeting. Thank you, Charlie McConkey. And this last one regarding virtual mode expansion, our school district leadership team. The current position of our school district is to deny our high school student athletes access to facilities during virtual learning mode. Your virtual learning mode presently allows club athletes access to school facilities. It feels discriminatory to those high school student athletes whose winter sports are delayed when others have access. This also encourages those restricted athletes to seek out club activities, many traveling throughout the state. Virtual mode does a nice job of eliminating large groups of the high school, but it does not offer a solution for small group sizes, say 10 winter sports athletes, to practice or compete in any of our large gymnasiums. You need to expand virtual mode solution for small groups. My suggestion is to add a virtual mode that allows winter sports. If liability is a concern, parents could opt in by signing a unilateral hold harmless agreement. Many schools have successfully done this. Consider what Toma, Onalaska, Aquinas, and others have accomplished. Some schools like GET, Rice Lake, and Colfax even prioritize school athletics over club. All of these schools and more begin winter sports practices sometime within the next 2 weeks. Thank you for your consideration. Todd Jordan, Wassalem. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Catherine,
I'm sorry, yes, Ken?
I'd just like to clarify that the board did not vote on November 9th to allow access to the clubs as stated in the one letter.
That's an accurate statement.
Thank you.
All right, next we will move on to reports. First up is Staff Relations Committee. And Eric, are you the chair on that or is that Robin?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Go ahead,
I don't
Eric.
think we ever decided a chair, so go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so you're just looking for an update of our meeting?
Yeah, just a summary.
Yeah, you bet. So we did have a meeting with several staff members from each of the buildings, along with the administrators and Ryan. The meeting, Ryan kind of set the table for the meeting with discussion about what commitments are needed for forming great teams, and then set the stage for the way that communication should be handled and what the expectations were from the group. And then we took the remaining time of the meeting to talk about 3 topics that were proposed, and really was giving people the opportunity to talk about what they value the most about as being part of the district, working for the district, or being a board member for Robin and I. some of the biggest challenges that we've had during this time frame, and things like technology and preparation time and mental health and learning how to teach in a virtual world were discussed. And then we spent a little bit of the time that we had left talking about potential solutions to some of those problems. So my interpretation of the meeting was, I think it really set the table for a future committee that will have an opportunity to open the line of communication between the board and our staff and our administrators and our teachers. And I'm looking forward to it. I think we had some really great questions. We had people ask some difficult questions, and it was good to open a dialogue. And I think we found some common ground on some things that we all agree are challenges. And so I'm excited to have the opportunity to openly discuss those things and try to develop some solutions that will be good for our students and good for our staff and good for the district.
Thanks, Eric. I also was in attendance at that, and I think it was a good first start. So I look forward to more. And
Catherine?
Yeah.
Can I just jump in? I don't recall in the time that I've been on the board that we've had this before, have we?
No, I don't recall that we've ever had it in my time on the board either.
So Ken, do you and Tom have been on it the longest. Do you recall us having this type of committee before?
We used to have staff relations meetings, but I don't think we had this particular committee.
The reason I'm calling out is just because, Catherine, I commend you the fact that you put this together. That our times are extremely challenging, and you and I have multiple conversations that we need to hear from everybody, including our staff. And I think this is a really good step in our staff feeling like they have direct input to our board. Yes, it goes through our administration to the board, but the fact that you've established this, I want to commend you, because I think particularly in times of extreme challenge that we are in, this is exactly what we need to do. So thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. And I agree, the more we can try to work together as one team, the more successful we're going to be. All right, next up is the district strategic initiatives update by business and operations team and Ryan. Are there questions on those reports, or if people want to add more to what they've already written out, now is the time to do so.
Catherine, I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
The one is regard to the nutrition program. I see that we went out for bids for some steam tables at the elementary school, and I'm questioning if we're unable to get a grant, that we should be buying new equipment on a program that's in the red right now, or is expected to be in the red, I believe Sean had said, because that'll come right out of the general fund then.
Well, Ken, I'll answer that on that piece of it. We still have some additional dollars. There's not much left out of our referendum dollars, but they're really not referendum dollars. They're leftover interest. And so we're in the neighborhood of about $15,000 that's left. And if you remember, I think one of the questions is involved in any equipment that's related to the elementary school. And so this would be one of those things. So
since it's dollars associated with referendum, it's interesting that we'd have to use it for what was stated in the question.
correct. Yeah.
And I did speak with Sam today, and I know she just did finish writing that grant, and she obviously, we don't know the outcome of that, but I think there's a good opportunity that we might be able to get some funds to purchase some of these for the elementary school.
And then the second question, if I may, Catherine, is to Ryan. I'm just interested on his meeting of the Hyder Center needs.
Yeah, what's going on there is the director of the Hyder Center, or Mr. Hertz, who helps us on our end. There's another local school district that did just construct a theater, and I know that Mr. Hertz was offered a job there, and it's just really looking at when we sat down and had a meeting, and I had a meeting with some of our high school staff along with the Hyder Center board about if Mr. Hertz would decide to take that job, where the delineation comes as far as what are activities that Mr. Hertz did for the school district and how he stepped in some of those needs, as well as some of the needs that might be that the Hyder board would have to have as well.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, other questions? No other questions. So I'm going to turn this over to ask each of the elementary principals if they want to give any updates on news at their buildings, joys or challenges.
I'll start with the elementary. We've been having some very good Friday professional learning community conversations. I'm just extremely impressed with how the staff continues to come up with ideas, not only of how to make their curriculum work in this kind of an online format, but also how to reach all learners, whether they are excelling or struggling, and the creative ideas that they're coming up with. So a huge celebration for that, and a shout out to the staff.
Okay, thanks, Tammy.
Yeah, from the middle school, I just piggyback off of that. Certainly challenging times, but our staff are meeting these challenges head on, working with our students and families to deliver our content online, working with Kathy Hilby to stay on top of the delivery of our curriculum through our online formats, and then also getting creative on Fridays. There are some students that we bring in on Fridays if we find that week that the online delivery method, that they've had some challenges with that, and our staff have done a nice job reaching out with families, collaborating together to make that happen in some very difficult circumstances. So staff doing a nice job, and also our kids are really doing a nice job. It takes time to build good habits, especially in an online environment, and our kids are doing a really nice job overall, adjusting to the expectations that we have. Even though we're online, we still have high expectations, and they're meeting those expectations. And our kids are doing a really nice job too. And so a shout out to them.
And at the high school, I guess I would just echo what both Tammy and Ben said. We're continuing each and every day working together to get better at providing instruction online. I know that we also have been having continuous professional development with our staff, and 2 Fridays ago we spent quite a bit of time again teaching and sharing with one another on how to organize and manage our Schoology accounts. At the last board meeting, Kathy gave you guys kind of a synopsis of what that looks like from the teacher and student end of things, and we continue to grow and get better at that. I would also echo what Ben said as far as our kids. I actually, for the last week, have just kind of been browsing we get sent out a report every day at the end of the day about kids' absenteeism, and remarkably, the list looks similar as if we would be in the building in a normal every other year. The kids' attendance has been pretty darn good, even though we're online virtual, which is a difficult task for some of those kids, but they're doing a really nice job. And I would also just echo our teachers are going out of their way nonstop to still try to continue to build relationships with kids. You think about the number of times they've actually been in front of them in the classroom at this point in the year is so minimal compared to the past. So lots of struggles, but at the same time, lots of successes. We're just getting better at what we're doing.
Okay, thanks for that.
Could I ask Mike a question, please?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Jane.
Do you have the opportunity for kids that are struggling to come into the high school on Fridays like middle school is doing?
We actually have an opportunity for that on it, and that's a great question, Jane. We have that opportunity on Fridays, and we also are bringing in a select group of kids, like the West group, if they have classes, or they normally would be in the building on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're bringing some of those kids that have been identified through our RTI group in actually a couple of days a week to get some individual instruction with our RTI team. So they're spending partial days in our building. So yes, we do have a select people who meet our criteria, along with our special ed population that's still coming in on a regular basis as well.
Super, thank you.
One of the things I've been really happy with also, just so we note that, is the amount of additional one-on-one tutoring sessions our staff has been doing during their office hours. Kids are using and taking advantage of that on a regular basis.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Hey,
Mike talked about office hours. That did come up in our staff relations too, about how valuable some of those office hours are that those students have, and using those to build relationships. So kudos to our staff for doing that and continuing to carry that over this online platform.
Deanna, did you have anything that you might want to add on either CRVA or anything related to instruction delivery?
Absolutely. The CRVA teachers have really gotten in the groove, because they're one of the groups, if they're teaching CRVA fully in 100% of the time, they haven't had the in and out. So they're finally consistent in what they're doing. It was a very rough start, but the teachers have just embraced it, and the students are really engaged in learning with that. To piggyback off the buildings, they're using the Zoom conferences to meet individual and small groups, and doing a great job with that. Also kudos, because we have a lot of teachers that are teaching in district programming as well as outside of their contract hour taking on the CRVA. And so many of them are reaching out directly to those students and meeting with them and monitoring just as much as they're doing in the regular classroom, as well as the CRVA. Including some high school students have come into the building because they've been struggling to get some extra help, because they still are our students. And if they're willing to do that, they're all going the extra mile. So really proud of all the teachers and students and through this difficult time, doing a great job.
Okay.
Hey,
Thanks.
Catherine,
Yes, Sean,
can I make a comment, please?
please.
Yeah, so just with deer hunting, just texting back and forth with some of the current students and seeing how their deer hunt went and how things going virtually, and a couple comments that kind of just stopped me a little bit. And it's just, it's our youth, it's our, mainly from high school, but just an appreciation of being back in school now that they're out of school, how much they appreciate the fact of the learning that they would normally get, and what that they're out now, and how much they wish they could be back in learning. And my comment was, do you think you recognize this prior to being out because of the COVID pandemic? And the response was absolutely not. It was, we didn't know how good we had it. So I think that's a testament to our students, but I also think it's a really mature take on a difficult environment from high schoolers to realize, okay, maybe I took some things for granted now that they've been taken away from me, by COVID, that when we do come back, that hopefully we see that energy, our students being back in front of our terrific staff. So I just thought it struck me, stopped me a little bit and got me thinking. So I just thought I'd share that.
I appreciate that, Sean. Thanks. Okay.
Catherine, I just have, I have just a clarification from Tammy. You are still teaching the 5 days a week format, is that correct?
When we are online, our Fridays are our PLC and planning days. We still have a number of students coming in the building.
So you're not doing the 5 days like you normally would then? You went away from that?
We went away from that. Yep, we're bringing in, it's more specialized. It was initially for those individual meetings with the students, but they've been really utilizing their office hours for that and spending more planning time with all that they're doing with their planning on Fridays with their professional learning communities with their grade levels.
Okay. And then Deanna, are the CRVA teachers sharing their techniques with the rest of the teachers? Because like you said, they're doing well on the virtual.
They get together with their PLCs as much as possible, but they also share across the districts because they also have their meetings across the district. It's a little different because they have the canned program that they're utilizing, so they're not doing what the in-district teachers are doing, where they're creating what they normally do in the classroom and making it work online. The CRVA teachers have kind of a canned curriculum, but then they're enhancing it and integrating things in. So it's a little two different areas to work through. They've been sharing some best practices on student engagement and things like that, but as far as the actual delivery of the content is a little bit different. So they still meet together in the districts as well as outside the district.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. If there's no additional questions,
I just have one question, Catherine.
Okay,
Is the Boys and Girls Club still servicing some of our kids that are needing trouble helping getting connected in the virtual classroom?
I can answer that. They're very much helping and serving our students. I know they're at capacity right now, and we actually now shout out to Jenna Anfang. She has really reached out, and we have formed a great partnership where teachers have curriculum of what they're working on, and the Boys and Girls Club is extending what we're working on with students. So it's been a wonderful opportunity.
Do you know what their capacity is?
They're down to 10 students per classroom right now.
And how many classrooms do they have?
They're below the capacity of 50. I asked when the guidelines came out last week from La Crosse County, I piggybacked with the team sports and co-curriculars as well as the capacity for areas. I reached out to the Boys and Girls Club just to make sure that they were continuing to follow those guidelines, and they're at or below the 10 people, and they're not bringing in anybody additional right now. They have that, and they're below their 50 capacity that they have as far as spacing out in between rooms.
Okay, just for clarity, I'm not asking to limit their capacity. I'm pleased that they're still working with our kids. So that was my goal in asking the question.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for that, Robin. I'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes minutes of the regular board meeting of November 9th, 2020, invoices to be paid, donations, co-curricular advisor recommendations for middle school wrestling and boys basketball and high school boys basketball. Let me see, donations. All right, we have a donation from Festival Foods on Alaska. They donated 2 cases, which would be 2,000 quantity of plastic grocery bags to the lunch program and the middle school for deliveries.
I'll move to approve, Catherine.
I'll second. Ken.
Okay. Motion by Jane, the second by Ken. Do a roll call vote. Robin?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, next we'll move on to discuss, consider, and take action if appropriate regarding strategic initiatives for Neola Policy Services. And the policy committee met tonight, so I'll let that team give an update.
So as Catherine said, we met tonight. Ken, Eric, and I, and we had kind of a robust discussion with regard to this. You know, the last time we came up with this, we kind of thought we could do it ourselves, and kind of got into it and realized how laborsome it is, and then also the fact that we have the best intentions, but seem to continually feel like we're falling behind in updating our policies. So Ryan and Patrick reached out to a couple different opportunities and had one come in, and I'll be very honest. I thought Ken had some really good insight that we weren't looking for a cookie cutter policy that's the same as every other school district, because I think they identified at least 10 different policies that were distinct to West Salem. So we did approve, did put the recommendation that we go forward with Neola, and left it with the understanding that Patrick and Ryan would reiterate the fact that, you know, we have certain expectations with our policies. We want them short and succinct and readable. And that they were going to work with the gentleman from Neola to accomplish that. So we did unanimously vote to go forward with Neola, but under the fact that Ryan and Patrick would work with them to accommodate us in the way we like our policies written.
Thanks, Sean. So as Sean said, the policy committee met earlier tonight and affirmed the desire to move forward with purchasing services from Neola to get our policies up to date and then to maintain in the future. So it's on the agenda here to discuss and make sure that the full board is in agreement and then take a vote here. So is there any discussion?
John, do you want to make the motion
Yeah.
or?
I thought Tom was unmuting himself to make a comment, but yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the use of Neola policy services.
I
Also-
will. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
I said I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion by Sean, a second by Tom. Is there any discussion?
I'm just wondering, what's the cost associated with the Neola plan? And is it a continuous ongoing plan, or is it a one-time updating?
The initial cost for the first 3 years is about $5,000 a year. And then after that, if you want to keep up with it, it's around $3,000 a year.
Okay. And is it an online searchable format? Do you know?
If you buy the electronic maintenance fee, which is the board docs portion of it, it is searchable. So you could type in some keywords and then it would bring up any policy that had those keywords in it.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any additional discussion?
Does
All right.
anyone have any questions for myself as Pat and I went through this and had the meeting with the representative?
All right, seeing none, I will conduct a voice vote or a roll call vote. Robin?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion carried. Next up is list of to-do items, information requests, which is item attachment F in your packet. Ryan, do you want to give us the highlights on what might have changed on that list?
Just the use of our school facilities. We've had conversations with the clubs, organizations that utilize our facilities after last week when the recommendation came out by the COVID collaborative. And, we're following those recommendations and closing down our facilities right now due to the current situation. So myself and Ryan Olson reached out to all of the coaches and the areas that utilize our facilities for those activities and just keeping those lines of communication open with that. And we're still working on looking to find an out of Sea of the Mind person. I know that Pat reached out to Ben and Tammy here, and there's still a lot of question as far as what that's going to look like with our current situation that we're in with online learning and the pandemic going on. So, and then the systematic approach to policy review, we just voted on that right now. So those are things that we can, update on this to-do list.
So if we can just move, for clarity, move back to the use of school facilities. So current situation is that no outside organization is using our facilities for extracurricular activities or clubs. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And other organizations have taken a similar approach, I believe. And I'm even hearing, or I saw in the news that UWL and Viterbo shut down their programs as well.
Yep, and there's other school districts that are having the same conversation about what they're going to do going forward with their co-curriculars this evening during some of their meetings as well.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Ryan.
You bet.
Board members, do you have any questions for Ryan or myself on the action item list? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to a closed session where the board will discuss, consider, and if appropriate, take action pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851C concerning employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding the superintendent's evaluation.
I'll move to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jane. I have a motion by Jane and a second by Sean. I'll take a roll call vote. Robin?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
All right, and the chair votes aye. That will conclude our recorded session of the meeting, and we'll take a short recess so the other team members that don't need to be in closed session can drop out and everyone can take